Hey, my name's Andrew from Moss Motors, and today we're going to take a look at some of the fascinating little fasteners used to attach things like convertible tops and carpets on classic British cars like these. Let's get started. If you're not exactly sure which fasteners you need, or you're looking for any small parts like nuts and washers, check out the schematics on our website. If you choose your car and then go to one of the parent categories, you should see any available schematics come up first, and they break down all the little bits and pieces with links to the listings. The first fastener we're going to look at is called a lift the dot fastener. And if you can see that, there's a dot on it. And what that tells you is which way it comes off. It only lifts off one way, so it makes for a secure connection. It has a little spring clip inside that attaches to a special stud that goes in the car body, and they're mainly used on things like convertible tops and tonneau covers. Some convertible tops, like this Robbins MGB top, come with them pre-installed and hidden behind a layer of fabric. Because they're nice and flat, that's something you can do. But others, like on tonneaus, are exposed so you can actually see what's happening. Let's do a sample installation. So when you buy these lift the dot fasteners new, they come in two different halves. The front half has these four little tabs that you'll fold over into this backing plate to hold them together, and they'll have to be punched through the material. The bottom two tabs are closer together than the top two, so that's one way to orient it. It's important to have the bottom side facing the bottom of the panel that you're attaching to the car, because these only lift off in a certain direction. So in this case, it's indicated by the dot. Sometimes there's text on it, but make sure it's oriented the right way. The easiest way to install these is to use the special tool that we sell. It has the exact right shape and profile. It's a one and done, easy to use. In a pinch, you could use a simple hole punch and an X-Acto knife to cut the shape out, but this makes it a lot easier. So, assuming you've marked out the center point of where your post is on the car on your material, you'd simply line up this tool, make sure the closer two tabs are at the bottom of the panel, make sure it's lined up, and you simply grab a hammer and punch it out. And we have a perfect cutout. Pop that center part out. So you might end up with some stray fibers, so you can just take a little razor knife to finish the job here. We'll take our little front piece and should just punch right through. And look at that, just like it was meant to. Get our back plate, and on this one you want the convex side to be out, so these little pieces are kind of lifted up, and this just slides right over. And we'll take something like a screwdriver and just bend these tabs inward carefully. It's a little tricky. Okay, once those are all bent over, we're done. This is ready to use, ready to snap onto the stud on the body of the car. Let's move on to the next fastener. Next up, let's look at the Tenax fastener. Similar use case to the lift the dot fasteners. They're mainly used for convertible tops and tonneau covers, and they use a stud that attaches it to the car body. The design of the studs is a little bit different from the lift the dots, but in order to use these, you just lift up the center ring to detach it from the stud and do the same to reattach it. The Tenax is even easier to install because it doesn't matter which direction it's facing, it just needs a round hole. It also comes with a backing plate, and the two halves thread together. So all you really need for this is a hole punch. This is a 3/8, which I believe is the right size, and this little very inexpensive tool that you can use to tighten down this backing plate. Assuming you've marked the location of the stud, you're happy with where it is, you pick your spot, punch a hole. Okay, once the hole is punched, we can simply put the front side through, and it has these nice teeth that grip onto the material, and then flip it over. And we can start threading on the back piece. This convex part goes up. Thread it on by hand as much as you can. And then we'll just bring this little tool in and finish tightening it. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, just snug. And now this is ready to use. Easy. Next up, the good old-fashioned snaps. We've all seen these before. You've probably owned a jacket with these kind of snaps, but they're used in a lot of places around these cars, like boot covers and tie-down straps, tops and tonneaus. They can come in a black finish like these ones, or shiny. And of course, there's a female side and a male side. The male side can come with a built-in sheet metal screw for places like this where it's attached to the car body. They can be a little bit finicky to install, but let's go do a sample. These snaps consist of an outside assembly and an inside assembly. The outside piece has the nice smooth finish that you see and a bigger snap end, and the inside piece is more flat and has a smaller snap end. There's also this version of the inner one that screws in if you're going direct to metal, but we're going to be looking at the ones that you need to crimp together in material. This is the special tool. This is a well-used one from our shop, but this receptacle holds this piece, which needs to be riveted through to the other side. And if you flip it over, it works for the inner piece and holds that nicely. And then this is what you use to actually crimp it over. But first, we need to punch a hole in our material. So what I'm going to try to do here is make a strap that we could use to hold something. So I'm going to put the nice side that shows through on here. I want to make it loop around on itself like that and snap together. So this is going to require a hole punch again. This is a 3/16 hole punch. Should be the right size. So I'm going to go ahead and punch through my material. So poke that through, make sure it goes through, which it does. So we'll bring in our tool base here, smooth side, since that's what we're working on. Then I'll put the snap piece on. And bring in this tool. Make sure it's centered inside the pin there. Yeah, you want to push down pretty nicely on this outer sleeve to make sure that the two halves are actually together. So make sure it's seated all the way down. And then, might take some force. But that's that side. So now let's move on to the other side. My goal is to make it so it snaps together like that. So I want this snap portion to be on this side of the material. Let's punch another hole. And now the base is going to go on this side, and the snap is going to be on this side. And we'll get our tool out again, flip it over to this side, make sure that fits nicely. Grab our tool, and we'll give it a little test to make sure it's snug, which it's not. So I have failed. It's important to hold the two halves together as much as possible while you're hammering, because otherwise it's going to be loose. And I almost destroyed my hand, but that's fine. Oh, that's good. That's nice and tight now. I boogered it a little bit, but it should be okay. Let's just test it out, see if I can get it to snap together. Look at that. Last but not least, carpet snaps. A lot of these cars came with multi-piece carpet sets, so they needed a way to attach them to the floor without sliding around. So these snaps use a ring that pushes through the carpet to the other side, which attaches to a plate, which snaps in to a regular male snap that screws into the floorboards. Pretty simple design, not too hard to install. Let's go do a sample. There's a backing plate and a spiky piece that goes through the top side of the carpet. All you really need to do is figure out where to put it. So in your floorboard, if these snaps are already installed, you can hopefully feel it through the carpet and either make a mark or just kind of place the spiky piece over the center of it as best as you can and start to push it through. And what happens is these little spikes just pop through the back side and we can install the back plate. And what I'm going to do is use this block of wood as support while I put this backing plate on. The spikes go into the wide holes and it faces out this way. Can be a little tricky. There we go. And depending on how thick your carpet is, it can be a little bit tough. But I found you just using a small hammer, if possible, to bend these tabs over. You want them to go outwards so they don't interfere with the snap in the middle. That's how that looks on the back side, all finished. On the front, it all but disappears. And what we should have is a nice snap that attaches it to the floor. Nice. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope you found it helpful and educational. I definitely learned some stuff. But with that, I'll see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe, comment. If you have any questions, check out the website. Peace.